You know, Jeb, we're going to be talking about something now that's actually kind of close to home. It hits close to home, and it's long-term care. In our family, we had a grandmother who unfortunately came down with Alzheimer's and passed away, but she was so healthy, an old West Texas country woman that just, it was an enormous amount of money to take care of her. So I want you to, if you would, take some time here now and talk about long-term care and give us an overview of it, and then we'll ask some more questions.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about hybrid long-term care, but let me touch on traditional long-term care insurance, because not only do we offer that today, it's really how our founder, Charles Loper, got started in this business years ago in the long-term care insurance business. He was a top salesperson in North Texas for many years. We do still offer traditional long-term care, or what's called fully underwritten long-term care, and we have that available, but where we've had the greatest success over the last 5 to 10 years, I would say, is in the hybrid product. And let me touch on what that is, because you know, with the traditional long-term care, it can be one of the greatest policies you ever had in your life, if you need it. But a lot of people are afraid, what if I spend all that premium on that policy and I never have to use it? I never need it. I wasted all that money. Well, we both know it wasn't wasted. It was very smart planning. But that comes up a lot. And that's where hybrid long-term care policies really got to be so popular. We had a lot of clients saying, I'm willing to take that risk, or I have this money over here and that's what I'm going to use if I need it for long-term care. Essentially, they're saying, I'm willing to self-insure the risk of long-term care. With hybrid, it allowed us to say, well, that's great, self-insuring that risk, okay? How about if I could show you a better way to self-insure that risk? That's where hybrid long-term care comes in. Let's talk about what hybrid means in this sense. Some people also call it combination long-term care, or combination product. Some people refer to it as a linked benefit plan. So no matter what you call it, hybrid, combination product, linked benefit plan, there's really two products that are involved, either an annuity or a life insurance policy. And the part that makes it a combination, or the thing that it links to, or the thing that makes it a hybrid, is the long-term care benefit, which is done typically by having a rider on that annuity or that life policy that has benefit. So when talking about the self-insuring the risk, the most interesting thing about this solution is, if you need it, it's going to be great. It's going to provide an excellent benefit. If you don't need it, if you don't use it for long-term care needs, or need it for long-term care needs, you still have an excellent product with all the benefits that go along with it, that annuity or that life policy. So a better way to self-insure is really the strong bullet point here.
Well, what I'm hearing is the hybrid literally lets you take a little bit of the best of both worlds, because it is the long-term care if you need it, and if it's not, it is the almost like it's the annuity side of it, which grows, and you've got that too. Is that correct?
Right. Best of both worlds. Protection if you need it.
Right.
Excellent account, excellent benefits on the annuity or the life if you don't need it.
Yeah. Well, the term hybrid was new to me. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's not a term I've ever heard used on a long-term care policy as a hybrid. So I hope that answers some questions. You know, Jeb, I want to go back and touch one more time on the long-term care. I've looked into, at my age, I've looked into long-term care, and it's expensive. And it is. You touched on this. It's a lot of money going out for this. But the hybrid, if I understand correctly, if it's not used as for the long-term care, it can be used as, because it is an annuity, it's part of an annuity, it can be used as wealth transfer, it can be used as, so make sure I'm clear on that and recap.
It is expensive, especially traditional, fully underwritten long-term care. If you need it, it could be the greatest thing you ever did. But the hybrid products be it an annuity, and we saw the accumulation annuity. If you haven't seen that video segment, it's out there. So it's the annuity or a life insurance policy, and we have a segment on that as well, with added benefit, a long-term care rider or impairment rider on top of it. So the biggest issue most clients have really is paying all those expensive premiums and never using or needing the benefits. With these hybrid policies, you don't need it. At the end of the day, you have an excellent annuity, fixed annuity or fixed indexed annuity. At the end of the day, if it's sitting on a life policy, you have an excellent life policy that has a death benefit that will pay out to your heirs.
Okay.
And in some cases, there's even riders that would give you a full return of premium as well. So there's a lot of options there in the hybrid market.
You know, Jeb, one of the questions that comes to the office a lot is, and people will literally say, my wife was declined several years ago for long-term care insurance. Can you address that?
It's very common. People get declined all the time. The hardest situations are when one of the spouses is accepted and the other one's declined. It typically doesn't make the other person too happy. That's difficult. But it is difficult to get underwriting in a lot of cases. It's not impossible. But we have in the hybrid long-term care product options everything from a guaranteed issue to what's called simplified issue on the underwriting. On the guaranteed side, typically we're talking about an annuity product. We did a segment already on fixed indexed annuities. How do you qualify on the guaranteed side? Well, everybody qualifies, but you have to do something. You have to put money into the annuity in order to get started. So you just have to deposit the money into that annuity. And that annuity, this particular product, would have an impairment rider or long-term care rider on top of it. Remember when we talked about the guaranteed income that would pay every year for life?
Right.
Well, we could be talking about that same type of annuity, but in the event of long-term care needs, if certain criteria are met, it would pay 2 to 3 times that amount for long-term care needs.
Ah, okay.
Now, on the simplified side, usually we're talking about a life insurance policy, a simplified life policy with a long-term care rider or an impairment rider. It's not automatic. You do have to qualify, but in these simplified underwriting policies, one of them, for example, you have to answer about 20 questions or so in the interview process. There is a telephone interview on some of these processes that some professional is going to ask you some questions and you have to repeat back and answer the different questions. And the nice thing about it is with some of the products, you're able to get an answer within 10 or 15 minutes, accepted or declined. There's no waiting period. If you meet the criteria to use those long-term care benefits, in the simplified life issue, a lot of them are going to pay around 2% of the face amount of the policy out in benefits for long-term care costs. Again, if you never use those benefits, you have an excellent life policy with the death benefit. Back to the guaranteed side on the annuity, there is a 3-year, it is guaranteed issue, but you do have a 3-year waiting period to be able to utilize those if you need them for long-term care. So that's a very important thing I want to point out.
Okay. So you do have options.
There are options.
People who have had been declined, one of the spouses has been declined, there are still options out there. You know, I want to encourage people to call us, I guess, because we have options that we don't have time today to cover everything. Yep. But we want people to know we've got options that a lot of places you just won't hear about. So give us a call if you have time. You know, we've been talking about hybrid long-term care, and you talked about this impairment rider and how it works, but can this also be used on a person who has not been put into a facility, a nursing home or long-term care facility, but used at home?
Right. Great question. And up to now, we talked about meeting certain requirements that trigger those benefits. And that does involve some things. And there are some policies out there that require that you are confined to a facility before you can exercise those benefits. But I'd say most of the policies, certainly a lot that we offer, involve what's called activities of daily living. And if you're unable to do 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, that would trigger the benefits in the policy. So what are those? Well, there's eating, bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring. Some would say that involves walking, but the technical term is transferring, and continence. Those are the 6. So if you were unable to do 2 of any of those, at least 2, it would trigger the benefits in most of the policies that we offer. A cognitive impairment may very well satisfy the whole thing.
Okay, and cognitive is mental capacity.
Correct.
Okay, if I understand you right, Jeb, what you're saying is people can actually stay at home and draw these benefits. Is that correct?
In some of these policies, not only can you stay at home to receive these benefits, as long as those criteria were met, some of these policies allow you to use that money however you want once you exercise the benefit. That is, pay your neighbor or a relative or a friend to take care of you in your home. Some policies will require that that's a certified nurse of some kind, but these can be very flexible.
You know, Jeb, we've been talking a lot about hybrid long-term care, and the whole thing about long-term is it is a long period of time, and costs continue to go up. Medical costs go up, hospital costs, all of this goes up. Can you address that and how that is going to affect the people who are facing this?
Absolutely, yeah. The costs definitely aren't going down.
No.
But having your benefits keep up with that's important. Some of our hybrid policies do have what are known as inflation riders to help keep up with that increase in projected cost. But I think most importantly, our agents are trained to do a thorough job of projecting out, what the expected costs might be, adjusted for inflation, and able to choose the right product with the right time period of benefits to meet that projection, and that's important.
Okay, very good. We've been talking today about long-term care, and by the simple words long-term, it is long-term, and it has implications down the road. It has implications such as the impairment rider. It has implications such as inflation. We all know that healthcare is going up in cost. We also know that the hybrid plan that we are talking about gives you options. And one of the great options is if you don't use it, you don't lose it. It's going to become the annuity. It's going to pay you money and pay your heirs money. It can be a wealth transfer, part of the life insurance product that we've been talking about. But there's a lot to talk about. Now, we've touched on a lot of stuff, and we've done it quickly. We've tried to give a pretty good overview on these products and how they work. But my suggestion to you today would be to give us a call. Give us a call and sit down with someone who can take a look at your specific situation, because that's what it's all going to boil down to. It is going to boil down to you and your husband or your spouse, but we have to look at that. But the best way to do it is to make that phone call. Pick up the phone, give us a call.